Winter is finally here, and you're the adventurous type that doesn't want to let snow get in your way of having a good time. So why don't you go out and get yourself the new Yamaha Chill Factor? We've pulled out all the stops and made this our most extreme sled yet.
It'll do over 100.
Our suspension has been beefed up so you can dominate some jumps. We've even added features that you didn't even know you needed, like a kickstand on the back, the ability to sled on water, Jesus Christ has nothing on us, and an ejector seat for when you really want to fly. Yamaha Chill Factor. Kick Jack Frost in the balls. Hey, welcome to VHS on Tape. My name is Keith, and on this channel I do horror movie reviews from the 70s, 80s, and 90s. If that sounds like something you think you'd enjoy, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Also, click the bell icon, that way you'll be notified when I upload a new video. And hey, if you like this, click that thumbs up button as well. What is up, everyone? How's 2021 treating you so far? I can't really complain. Yet. Well, since we're still in the heart of winter, I figured why not look at a movie fitting to the season? So the movie we have today is The Chill Factor. The plot to this movie is pretty simple. A group of snowmobilers are forced to take refuge at a camp that's also home to a demon or two. It was written by Julian Weaver. He also wrote Trapped Alive. It was directed by Christopher Webster, and he never directed another movie. Not hard to understand why, and you'll see once we get into it. The movie came out on July 28, 1993, and has a running time of 1 hour and 26 minutes. Also, I kind of feel like this movie has a little bit of an identity crisis going on. Well, let's get into it to see if I'm the only one who gets that feeling, and I won't try to influence your opinion in the least during this review. The movie starts off with music that doesn't really fit for a horror movie. It makes me feel like I'm about to watch a movie about someone, I don't know, perhaps an athlete, who has to overcome challenges and defy the odds and become a champion. What's that? No, I don't think so. Alright, well, let me ask them. Okay, so my director Trent is saying that I'm already trying to form your opinion about this movie? You didn't get that feeling, did you? Yeah, see, you're just imagining things. Anyways, after the weird music, we get this.
The nightmare came to me before dawn, sneaking into my mind.
Alright, so not a lot of horror movies go the route of having a voiceover. Definitely feels like something out of a different kind of movie. What? Come on. Okay, so Trent is saying that I'm trying to lead you guys again. I don't know about you, but I'm not getting that. Alright, can we get back to the movie? Okay. Anyways, the voiceover goes on to say that the nightmare would come true and it would be just the beginning of something far worse. Then we see this guy taking his first attempt at the assisted long jump. But he miscalculates. You hate to see that. Hopefully he'll be able to make up for it with his second attempt. It looks like he made the exact same mistake. At this point, he's not even thinking about a medal. He's just hoping not to get eliminated. The voiceover continues, and we get some even weirder music that seems like it belongs in a Skinamax movie.
I was so in love. It was crazy. But I was happy. And
we then find out that the voiceover is an older version of Jeannie, played by Dawn Laurie. Looking at her credits, and nope, nothing else there. Then we meet her fiance Tom, played by Aaron Kajanis? He was also in Untamed Heart and 7,000 Cows in Guatemala. She says she never understood why he proposed because he didn't love her like she did him. And she also adds in some other important details.
best friend Chris was dating his older sister, and his other friend Ron got engaged to a black girl.
Alright, cool. Alright, so now we're all caught up. Then we get almost 2 full minutes of them riding snowmobiles. And again, this seems like it's setting up to be a movie like, I don't know, Thrashin', Rad, or Airborne. Nothing about this feels like a horror movie. I was totally doing it there, wasn't I? Okay, see, I could feel it that time. That time, yeah, I could feel it. Okay, I was leading you guys that time, but you know what? Screw it. I'm going to keep pushing my opinion about this movie onto you, because it sucks. Then we got to a bar where apparently they've never seen somebody wearing a blue ski suit before. Jeez, I didn't think it was that uncommon. I would get it if it was like lime green or something. As Jeannie and her friends, who we'll meet in a minute, walk through, This heartbreaker stops Blue Ski Suit and asks her.
Hey, babe, what are you doing so far north?
His friend tries to get him to not be an asshole by asking him.
Didn't you see the guy she walked in with?
Then we meet.
Hi, I'm Ron Mikulski. Nice to meet you guys. I'll buy you a beer.
He's played by Jim Cagle, and with how nice Ron is, I feel like he's from the Midwest.
Well, believe me, sometimes I do too.
Okay, so now I'm definitely leaning towards Minnesota or Wisconsin. Ron asks him to keep the language down out of respect, and the heartbreaker says,
Respect for what? Your nigger girlfriend?
oh, I guess it wasn't the blue ski suit they were looking at. Yeah. Then the drunk racist gets what he deserves. Then in an awkward shot, we meet Bessie. She's played by Becky Valen. Now that's Becky with 2 Ks. She was in Sliding Home. She thanks them for handling the 2 goons. Then we formally meet Ron's fiancée, Lissa. She's played by Eve Montgomery, and interestingly enough, the name Lissa is of Dutch origin and it means blue ski suit. Then Tom introduces us to.
This is my sister, my sweet little sister Karen.
Wait a second, I thought Jeannie said she was his older sister at the beginning?
Best friend Chris was dating his older sister.
Alright, cool. Well, we made it, 7.5 minutes before running into continuity issues? Anyways, Karen is played by Connie Snyder, and just like Jeannie and Lissa, this movie both made and killed their movie careers. And lastly, we meet.
Mr. Soon-to-be doctor. Chris, what is your name, by the way?
Played by David Fields. He was also in Divorce Law. And just a reminder that Chris and Karen are dating. After several drinks, Tom and Chris start arguing about who's faster on the sled. Then Bessie tells them about a place they could race.
How about a lake bed? Dead flat, under 2 miles long.
And Jeannie thinks about her nightmare and tries to talk Tom out of it. When Karen goes to get directions from Bessie, and I have to get a hat like that for myself. It's pretty sweet. Bessie says nobody lives up there on Blackfriar Lake, and.
Just a bit of local history, really. It's quite a story. I'll tell you about it when you get back tonight, okay?
Well, now I'm pretty sure they won't be coming back tonight. Then Tom goes up, and we see this, and I'm not totally sure why they put this in here. I mean, maybe they're going to go the route of Amityville 2? But we're not the only ones who see it. Then we get the voiceover again, and Jeannie says that.
I knew the nightmare was no longer a dream. It was becoming reality.
Then the others were frightened too, she thinks, when they saw what they had gotten into. I mean, it's a frozen lake with snow on it. That's why you came here. Then Tom and Chris race, and they really like shooting the snowmobiles in this movie. Tom wins and takes his final attempt. Oh, this has got to be nearly perfect for him to stay in this thing. Oh, I think he's done it. Oh no, he's mucked it up again. Oh well, there's always next year. The group runs over to check on him, and we see that Tom is looking pretty rough.
He's still alive!
Are you sure? Because he looks dead. Chris says that Tom's in shock and he needs to get out of the cold, fast. Ron and Karen go to try and find a house and end up coming across this. Ron tells Karen to go get the others and he'll go get the door opened up. Once inside, he spends way too long looking around, almost 3.5 minutes, which is a very long time to watch someone walking around. It's on par with Slithers, during which we see that this looks like it was once used as a church and the camp commander liked to hunt. Then the rest of the group shows up and we hear old Jeannie talking again, talking about how the air in the lodge felt colder than outside.
Hoping somehow things might work out.
Once inside, Chris examines Tom more.
Chris was in charge now.
Jeannie, do you mind? I'm trying to do a review here.
Even though he hated the responsibility.
Okay, are you done? Alright, after
In
Karen...
fact, I'm sure he felt even worse than I did.
After Karen loses her cool and Jeannie checks her,
I hadn't realized what an obnoxious bitch you really are, Karen.
Chris determines that Tom has a concussion and that they need to keep him warm. He also says that Tom's in too bad of shape to be moved by snowmobile. They get a fire going and Lissa says this lodge is spooky to her and all the religious stuff is wild, and Ron agrees. Well, Jeannie and Chris work on Tom and
Sure it looks worse than it is.
God, I hope so, because that looks pretty fucking bad. Karen and Jeannie start bickering, and Chris checks them.
Tom's got a concussion, possible spinal damage, and or internal ruptures. What was it you two wanted to argue about?
Then Chris says he needs some cotton, and the only cotton around is Lissa's shirt. Alright, finally something good to watch here. So they're not actually going to show anything. Yeah, you know, I shouldn't be surprised. Ginny then gets oddly knowledgeable.
Once it's cleaned up, I bet the kids love it.
They don't come here anymore, Chris. It's a dark place now.
While also demonstrating some great acting.
Oh, I wish I hadn't yelled at Karen like that.
Ron decides that he's going to drive into town so they can get a medevac chopper for Tom. We then get an odd mood change.
Well, there's no food or anything else for that matter.
Before we get another mood change while they look for werewolves. Man, this music is all over the place. Ron leaves even though Lissa asks him not to. Then we get a corny joke about Ron being a football player.
That's one sweet man. Not on the football field. Well, you don't have to play football with him, do you?
Don't have to play football with him. Then Karen goes searching for 1 minute and 8 seconds before finding some stuff. Then we cut to Ron shredding some powder. Seriously, what the hell is this movie? Then there's another odd musical transition from Ron shredding to Jeannie being worried about Tom. And there is a ton of music in this movie, and much like Drive-In Massacre, it doesn't necessarily fit. Then Tom starts to move some digits. Don't have to play football with him. Everyone gets excited, and Lissa goes to get Karen, and Chris reminds Jeannie that Tom still might not make it. I guess it's getting kind of serious here. Okay, we get it. Ron is on a snowmobile. Cut to Tom waking up and them telling him he's injured, and good lord. We cut to Ron on a snowmobile again. And that look on Jesus' face pretty much sums up how I'm feeling about this movie right now. Then Karen says she found some stuff and pulls out a pic of kids from 1953 with a banner that says,
"Keep the beast in the field."
And they discuss what they think it means. Then we find out that Jeannie's mom...
My mother was really gifted. She used to tell fortunes sometimes.
And apparently she's got a little of that skill. Then Karen pulls out this, and we see that Jeannie doesn't like it, and says they shouldn't play with it. Then Lissa says her grandma had one of these things that was...
300 years old.
Okay, 100 years would have been believable, but 300? That's a little too much for me. Lissa says that it's called...
Devil Eye, I think.
And...
My grandma and her cronies used to sit around talking to their dead husbands through the devil's eye.
Her cronies? Who the hell talks like that? Somehow Jeannie knows what this is and how to use it, and explains to the group how to use it. It's basically a different version of a Ouija board. Jeannie doesn't want to use it, but of course they do. But before that, we get yet another voiceover.
Looking back, I must have felt so happy about Tom.
God, Jeannie really likes to hear herself talk. We see Ron yet again. Okay, you don't have to keep showing him. We'll believe that he's on a snowmobile until you show us that he isn't. You don't have to hand feed us on that. Then the group uses the devil's eye, and we see Ron again. Oh, actually, you know, before we go any further, I realized that I forgot to mention earlier that 90% of this movie is actually just seeing the group in the lodge and cutting to Ron on a snowmobile. I mean, I'll give them credit for trying something different. You know, they said, plot be damned, we're making this movie. Anyways, the group is using the devil's eye. I'll have what she's having. I will say that the devil's eye as a prop is actually cool looking. See, and you thought I was kidding about the plot of this movie. As they are using it, Tom starts to shake and Jesus weeps bloody tears of boredom before Ron finally gets taken out. And then we get a lot of really fast cuts, like a lot, of Tom having a seizure and this other stuff. Then Jeannie acts like a real grown-up.
I told you it wasn't a toy, damn you!
I know I showed you how to do it, and you didn't really have to push me that hard to get me to do it, but damn you! When asked if they get... Sorry. That was dumb. When asked if they did get through to the other side, she says...
No, I think the other side got through to us.
See, now that's a good line. I just wish it was in a better movie. Tom comes around and, for the most part, is back to normal.
Pain in the ass as usual.
My sweet little sister. I give you a pain in the ass, don't worry.
I guess they're really just a close family?
Don't worry about him, Lissa. Probably with some nice, hot, blonde country babe.
Well, I guess he's a little bigger jerk than before. Chris and Karen go off on their own, and alright, maybe now we'll finally get something good. This movie needs a little pick-me-up right about now. Alright, so here we go. Come on, nothing? Again? Well, at least we get to see Chris climax. I know that's what most of us came here for. Lissa gets up. Lissa gets up and goes exploring, where she forgets how to wear a coat and finds some interesting letters from parents saying they're going to stop sending the kids to the camp since the tragedy and that they haven't found the killer yet. Then she sees this newspaper and then leaves the office, where she comes across the shadow puppet from Mausoleum. To get away, she runs into the pantry or freezer, and then this ridiculous death scene takes place. It's scary. So Lissa's dead now too, and we see that Tom is happy about that. We see Chris get up and go exploring as well. He sees a red light, and when he opens the door, he finds Lissa before he too sees the shadow puppet. And I love that instead of running and telling the others, he grabs a knife and wanders around in another drawn-out scene, until he runs outside and almost gets hit by an icicle, which causes him to trip, and then we finally get a good death scene. I will say that one was well done. Karen then wakes up and talks to Tom and Jeannie, where Tom makes a pass at Karen, again.
Well enough to handle anything you have to offer, sweet little sister.
Just behave, Tom.
Which she just brushes off. I guess that's just normal in their family. Then he says that Chris went to hook up with Lissa, and Karen decides to go check it out. Then Tom says,
I want to show you something.
Alright, I added the zipper there, but I think we can all agree that's how the situation should have gone. Instead, he shows her that his wounds have all healed up and that he thinks he deserves a reward. Then we cut back and forth between Karen searching and Tom and Jeannie, and... Alright, finally. I mean, they have just got to come through for us on this scene. Ladies, is that what it looks like for you? Man, I am not jealous. I mean, it's great on our side. Anyways, as they are doing the deed, Karen decides to get on a chair, and when she does, some netting gets wrapped around her neck, and she's dead. And just like in Mad Men, I do like how they just have the sound of her swinging. Then we see that Tom has grown some wicked fingernails before we see... Well, I'm not actually sure what the hell it is that we see. I mean, I don't like to admit it, but I don't have a clue what is happening at this point in the movie. Other than Tom is imagining banging his sister? I mean, this is one of those sequences that make you say, the fuck? The next morning, after Jeannie wakes up, and most people have already stopped watching this movie, they throw in a little bit of nudity, due to an unplanned reflection that I'm pretty sure was an accident, but if you're eagle-eyed and think like a teen boy, which I do, you can catch it. As she walks around, we get almost like a funhouse music. I mean, it's not bad, but again, it doesn't really fit to me. I kept expecting to see a clown or two pop out. They drag out her looking around for about 2.5 minutes, until finally she finds Karen's body, which is actually well done. After another minute of wandering around scared, she finds Lissa's body. She then goes outside and finds Chris's body, and again, thumbs up to the makeup artist on the work on Chris here. Jeannie runs back inside and talks to the Devil's Eye, where it tells her that it's her friend and that Tom killed her friends because he's evil now. Jeannie decides to take off, and on her way looks into a window and sees this bullshit.
There's Jill and Betty. They were very good, those two.
Tom is now transformed and is talking about how good some of the kids in the photograph were. I'm assuming he meant to eat and not bang. So obviously he's been possessed. She goes to leave and Tom comes after her and tries really hard to make her stay, but she gets away. And with how much they like showing snowmobiles in this movie, I feel like the only thing missing is a chase scene. She comes across. Is that supposed to be Ron? It doesn't look like him to me. It looks like Tom, but he's back at the lodge wearing a cloak. But it's a dead guy next to a snowmobile, so, I'm going to say it's supposed to be Ron. Oh, good. All right, they're giving us the snowmobile chase. And check out some of those bitchin' moves. See, now this definitely reads as a horror movie. This is textbook right here. They come across, wait, that's Ron. Well, then who the fuck is this guy? I guess that is supposed to be Tom, but how the hell? I feel like they're going the route of he possessed the body, even though he's back at the lodge. But his body is at the lodge too, remember? There would be nothing to possess there. Logic be damned, I guess. They're gonna do what they want. And why does he point at Ron? I was expecting him to get up and start chasing her too, but he doesn't. I feel like he's just trying to brag about his work. You see that dead Norwegian there? I did that. Just saying. Anyways, back to the race. Man, I really hope Jeannie wins, otherwise the bank is gonna foreclose on the ski lodge. Oh, no, sorry, wait, that's a different movie. I got confused there for a second. After skipping the pond, this guy comes along, and Jeannie turns away, but Tom, I guess, isn't so lucky. And I do think this is a decent death scene, although this guy looks out the window like he's trying to make sure that he's staying on top of Tom. And that is the worst driving I've ever seen. You shouldn't have to work that hard to hit the brake and not actually hit the brake. Tom's sled explodes and Jeannie and the guy come over, and I like how the guy puts his hands on his hips like, well, would you look at that? The guy I just ran over is on fire and now he's getting up. I'll be darned. After some odd close-up shots, Jeannie takes off and a sheriff on a sled just so happens to show up, and he casually asks the guy what happened.
What happened here? Hey, Sheriff, this girl came from around the corner.
Okay, I'm gonna stop you right there, buddy. You're seriously going to try and blame it on Jeannie? She was the first one you saw, and you didn't stop. Plus, she was wearing a bright pink jacket. Plus, you didn't stop until you were a good 20 feet past the body you ran over. I think the sheriff should smell that guy's breath. When we cut back to Jeannie, oh god, we get a voiceover again.
I ran. All I could think of was...
Alright, as she's rambling on and on, we see that the sheriff is trying to find her. She says...
kept on running until I woke up and found myself back where it all started. Blackfriar Lake.
What the hell is she talking about? You went back there? Are we sure Jeannie doesn't have dementia? And this is all just in her head? She says that this happened 30 years ago, that...
It isn't really a nightmare. No, the nightmares are something else.
What the hell is she talking about? God, okay, well, then this movie finally ends. And now for some fun facts. The heartbreaker in the bar, Mark Armstrong, was actually an executive producer for Hellraiser. The amount of voiceovers in this movie totals up to just shy of 5 minutes. The original title for this movie was Demon Possessed. Well, that's a bit redundant. Nobody likes redundancy, right? They show people on snowmobiles for a total of just over 11 minutes. So, would I recommend the chill factor? It is not a good movie. And on top of that, it doesn't really seem to know what kind of movie it wants to be. There are a few good special effects, but overall the acting is bad. The music is way overdone, and obviously the plot is very weak. However, if you do want to check it out for some reason, I'll put a link in the description where you can check it out for free, at least when I recorded this. Well, what did you think? Let me know in the comments. In my last review, I mixed it up a little bit and looked at Santa with Muscles, which is a non-horror movie, so I'll put a link up to that so you can check that out too. Well, that's going to do it for this one. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you next time.